Intact it lives, of its perfection sure, in a heaven-pleased, self-glad immunity, content to be, it has need for nothing more.
Yes, so in this kingdom of the subtle matter, it feels that it's intact,
Mhm.
it's unblemished, untouched, and it is sure of its perfection. It's, look at he hyphenates two words, heaven pleased and self glad. So Sri Aurobindo wants to know that it's really very strong
Yeah.
and it's content to be and has need of nothing more. Now on earth we have so many needs and we have all these wars and all these people who are trying to allow falsehood to reign, but not in this kingdom of subtle matter.
Mhm.
But we did find that earlier on, it also had dark sides.
Mhm.
Remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
And it couldn't keep the utter vision. It couldn't keep the goodness always. So
Mhm.
now we see Sri Aurobindo tells us that it's it's sure of its perfection. It's living intact.
Okay.
Okay, so we continue on.
Here was not futile effort's broken heart, exempt from the ordeal and the test, empty of opposition and of pain. It was a world that could not fear nor grieve.
Ah, very interesting. See,
Mm.
so the broken heart of a futile effort is not there.
Mhm.
And it's exempt also from the ordeal and the test
Mhm.
because it's not evolving.
Mhm.
It's fixed, empty of opposition and of pain, again, because there's no evolutionary pressure.
Mhm.
It's a world that could not. Now, notice he says, not did not, but could not fear.
Mhm.
Or, and now we have these beautiful lines.
Okay. It had no grace of error or defeat. It had no room for fault, no power to fail.
Beautiful lines. No
Yes.
grace of error. Interesting word.
Yeah.
Interesting phrase. And no grace of defeat also, because it feels itself perfect.
Yes.
And therefore, in that feeling of its self perfection, it had no room for fault
Mhm.
and no power even to fail. Okay.
Out of some packed self-bliss, it drew at once its form discoveries of the mute idea and the miracle of its rhythmic thoughts and acts.
Now you see that you're doing that rhythmic again. Rhythmic.
Oh,
There's no
rhythmic.
there's no mic in there. There's
Uh-huh.
no rhythmic. No, rhythmic.
Rhythmic.
Yes. So many people miss that one.
Rhythmic. Okay.
Yeah, because if it was rhythmic, it would be two beats.
Mm,
Rhythmic. But
mm.
here it's rhythmic.
Rhythmic. Okay. And the miracle of its rhythmic thoughts and acts, its clear technique of firm and rounded lives, in its gracious people of inanimate shapes and glory of breathing bodies like our own.
It's interesting because, well, let's look at it from two different aspects.
Mhm.
It has a self bliss, and that self bliss, from that self bliss, it draws its form discoveries of the idea, the silent idea. And Sri Aurobindo capitalizes the idea, so he's talking about this the real idea, the supramental manifestation. But that's not true for this plane of existence. And the miracle of its rhythmic thoughts and acts, its clear technique of firm and rounded lives, its gracious people of inanimate shapes. Now, see, that's an interesting line, because if something is inanimate, it usually means not alive.
Right.
Not animate, not a living being. But in this context, I believe, Shilpa, it means spiritless,
Okay.
dull, lacking activity. Because then he says, and glory of breathing bodies like our own. So if it was totally inanimate, not alive, it couldn't have breathing bodies like our own. Okay?
Got it. Yeah.
Very good.
Mm.
And then he's going to go on with that. He's going to amplify those lines.
And Narad sir, one other thing, on page 113, last line, it says it's clear technique of firm and rounded lives. Uh, so firm and rounded, does it
Firm.
also have anything?
No, firm. You have to pronounce it with the firm.
Firm.
Not form. Form. See, form would be Form. Form.
Form.
You want firm.
Firm. Firm.
I know it's a little difficult
Firm. Okay.
in language, but firm.
Firm. I'll keep practicing that, sir.
Okay, good.
I'll use that Google pronunciation.
Right. So it's a clear technique of these firm, solid, and rounded lives. They're filled out. They're fine. It's gracious people of inanimate shapes. The shapes are inanimate, but the people are not inanimate.
Okay.
You see, it's inanimate shapes. So it doesn't exactly have the qualities of living beings, but it's the shapes are not the same as ours.
Got
Then you see, and then he changes again, and he says, and glory of breathing bodies like our own. So this is interesting, because this is paradoxical. So now Ashwapati is going to see some more things.
Okay. Amazed, his senses ravished with delight, he moved in a divine yet kindred world, admiring marvelous forms so near to ours, yet perfect like the plaything of a god, deathless in the aspect of mortality.
Well, they are not evolutionary beings. So, in this aspect of mortality in which we live, they are deathless. So, Ashwapati is seeing his senses being ravished with delight, seized and carried away by, enraptured with delight. And he's moving in a divine, but yet kindred world. It's very close to our world. You know, Mother and Sri Aurobindo tell us that the subtle physical is just a little bit above the physical. And it's so close to the physical. And that's where they are right now, building the new bodies. Yeah. So And he's admiring these marvelous forms that are so near to ours. And yet they are perfect, like the playthings of a god, because they're not evolutionary. They don't have to suffer. They have no suffering, no pain at all, no death.
Mm-hmm.
Deathless in the aspect of mortality.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes, clear.
Good. So we'll carry on.
Mhm. In their narrow and exclusive absolutes, the finite's ranked supremacies throned abide. It dreams not ever of what might have been, only in boundaries can this absolute live.
Yeah, so this is interesting because we have to look at it carefully. They are narrow
Mm.
because they have these exclusive absolutes. And the finites ranked supremacies thrown above. So we can say that the finites,
Mhm.
not the infinites, the finites,
Fine.
ranked. They're ranked, of course, they're orderly arrangement,
Mhm.
and supremacies throned. They lived throned above. Throned here is sort of like in a position of sovereignty.
Mhm.
The finites rank supremacies throned above.
It
And
is abide, right, Narad sir?
yes,
Uh-huh.
abide. Sorry,
Abide.
abide. Yeah,
Mhm.
abide is to stay there, to remain.
Okay.
The dwelling there.
Mhm.
Finites ranked supremacies throned abide.
Abide.
So they're abiding there in sort of in this ruling throne kind
Mhm.
of supremacy.
Mhm.
And therefore, it dreams not ever of what might have been. And then he says, only in boundaries can this absolute live. So, because it's the subtle physical, subtle matter, it's the kingdom of subtle matter,
Mhm.
it can only live, even though it's absolute, it can only live in boundaries. And therefore, it doesn't even dream of what might have been.
Mm.
And he's not finished telling us yet.
Yes. I'll continue, Narad sir.
Sure.
In a supremeness bound to its own plan, where all was finished and no widths were left, no space for shadows of the immeasurables, no room for the incalculable's surprise, a captive of its own beauty and ecstasy, in a magic circle brought the enchanted might.
The only word is immeasurable. Immeasurable.
Immeasurable. Okay.
Yes. Like,
Immeasurable.
like measure.
Measure.
No, not measure. Measure.
m-
Measure.
Measure. Measure.
Measure. Immeasurable.
Immeasurable.
You
Measure.
have to get the j out of that.
Yeah. Measure.
In, it's in. Think of the word measure. Measure. Immeasurable. See, I hear j in your pronunciation. There's no j. Immeasurable. No. Immeasurable.
Okay. The R is prolonging. Okay. Immeasurable. Immeasurable.
You're close. You're close.
Immeasurable. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
was focusing on that able. I used to say, so
I know. I know. You said
that
that.
able
You
is.
said about right today. You had it very good.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So immeasurable. Measure.
Immeasurable.
Measure.
Immeasurable. Okay.
Yes, you got it. You got it. You got it. Good. So, in a supremeness bound to its own plan, where all was finished and no widths were left. So there's nothing to finish, there's nothing to improve, there's no possibility of evolution, no space for shadows of the immeasurable, no room for the incalculable's surprise. If something is incalculable, it's impossible to foresee, it's unpredictable, it's too great to be calculated or reckoned.
Mhm.
So, a captive of its own beauty and ecstasy in a magic circle wrought the enchanted might. And he capitalizes might, great power.
Mhm.
So when you wrought is you made something.
Mhm.
In a magic circle, the enchanted might was made, was wrought.
Okay.
Are you clear?
Yes.
Good, very good.
The spirit stood back, effaced behind its frame. Oh, there's a full stop there.
Effaced, not effaced,
Effaced.
effaced.
Effaced. Okay. Effaced.
No,
Eff-
effaced,
Effaced.
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 No, no in there, no a at all. Effaced. Just think of the word F.
Effaced. Effaced.
Yes, there it is.
Okay. Effaced.
The spirit stood back, effaced. In other words,
Effaced.
it's erased. It's wiped out behind its frame. You can't even see it because it's not you're not able to see it because it is wiped away, rubbed out, erased behind its frame. So he's going to continue again. Not finished yet.
Admired for the bright finality of its lines, a blue horizon limited the soul. Thought moved in luminous facilities. The outer ideal's shallows its swim range. Life in its boundaries lingered satisfied with the small happiness of the body's acts.
And we have to go back and understand that this is not an evolutionary plane.
Mhm.
And so this plane is admired for the bright finality of its lines.
Mhm.
A blue horizon limited the soul. So can see that there's a horizon there and it's a blue horizon, but it's limiting the soul. Now, thought moved in luminous facilities, luminous opportunities, favorable conditions.
Mhm.
But the outer ideal's shallows its swim range. So when we go swimming,
Mm.
we only stay in the shallows.
Mm.
That's swim range. Interesting, beautiful line, huh?
Yeah,
So the
because
ideal,
the soul is not in that evolutionary mode, right? It's confined. So, yeah.
very confined, it's very
Yeah.
narrow
Mm.
swim range.
Mm.
Then he says more, he says, life in its boundaries lingered satisfied.
Mm.
Satisfied with what? With the small happiness
Mm.
of the body's acts.
Mm.
And we can read a little bit more yet.
Okay. Assigned as force to a bound corner mind, attached to the safe paucity of her room, she did her little works, and played, and slept, and thought not of a greater work undone.
Ah, yes. So this life force here,
Hmm.
life is satisfied with its boundaries and
Hmm.
it's lingering, it's slowly lingering, it's not dwelling, not dwelling, not to linger means to procrastinate,
Okay.
yeah, to tarry.
Hmm.
See,
Hmm.
so life is tarrying, satisfied in its boundaries.
Hmm.
And what is it satisfied with? With the small happiness of
Hmm.
the body's acts. And then he says, assigned as force, capital F force, to a bound corner mind. Oh, the mind is just a corner mind,
Corner. Hmm.
not at all.
It's not expanding. Hmm.
Exactly
Hmm.
right.
Hmm.
Attached to the safe paucity of her room. A paucity is the smallness of number.
Hmm.
Smallness of number.
Okay.
She did her little works, and played, and slept, and thought not of a greater work undone.
Okay.
So I think maybe we could read three more lines and
Sure.
stop it.
Okay. Forgetful of her violent, vast desires, forgetful of the heights to which she rose, her walk was fixed within a radiant groove.
Good place to end. And this, of course, is the life force.
Mhm.
We see in that those lines above, life in its boundaries,
Mm.
linked, satisfied, satisfied with the small happiness of the body's acts.
Right.
So now, being assigned to this corner mind,
Mm.
we see she's also attached to this smallness, this paucity of her room. And in that room of her life, she did her little works,
Mm.
and played and slept, and thought not of a greater work undone.
Mm.
Yet full of her violent, vast desires, forgetful of all of those things, forgetful of the heights to which she rose, her walk was fixed within a radiant groove. Groove, think of a record, the
Mm.
groove of the record. It's just going around and around.
Mhm.
It's a radiant groove.
Mm.
So now you've got only 4 minutes to read, so we have
Sure.
to
I'll go
move on.
back to page 113.
Yes, please.
Okay. Intact it lives of its perfection sure, in a heaven pleased, self glad immunity, content to be, it has need of nothing more. Here was not futile effort's broken heart, exempt from the ordeal and the test, empty of opposition and of pain. It was a world that could not fear nor grieve. It had no grace of error or defeat. It had no room for fault, no power to fail. Out of some packed self-bliss, it grew at once, its form discoveries of the mute idea, and the miracle of its rhythmic thoughts and acts, its clear technique of firm and rounded lives, its gracious people of inanimate shapes and glory of breathing bodies like our own, amazed his sense ravished with delight.
His senses,
Sorry.
plural.
Amazed his senses ravished with delight, he moved in a divine yet kindred world, admiring marvelous forms so near to ours, yet perfect like the playthings of a god,
Yet perfect.
yet perfect like the playthings of a god, deathless in the aspect of mortality. In their narrow and exclusive absolutes, the finite's rank supremacies throned abide. It dreams not ever of what might have been. Only in boundaries can this absolute live. In a supremeness bound to its own plan, where all was finished and no widths were left, no space for shadows of the immeasurable, no room for the incalculable's surprise, a captive of its own beauty and ecstasy, in a magic circle wrought the enchanted might. The spirit stood back, faced behind its frame, admired for the bright finality of its lines. A blue horizon limited the soul, thought moved in luminous facilities, the outer idea shallows its
Ideals.
the outer ideas shallows
Ideals.
sorry. The outer ideals shallows its swim range. Life in its boundaries lingered satisfied with the small happiness of the body's acts, assigned as force to a bound corner mind, attached to the attached to the safe paucity of her room. She did her little works, and played and slept, and thought not of a greater work undone, forgetful of her violent vast desires, forgetful of the heights to which she rose. Her walk was fixed within a radiant groove.
Yes.
That's where we stopped.
That's where we stop. Good reading. Just a couple of missed words.
Yeah, sorry. And I'll keep working on firm, immeasurable,
Yeah, firm.
Faced.
Firm.
Firm, firm. I have to work. My tongue has to twist properly.
Okay.
But thank you, Narad sir. Thanks a lot.
Very
Have a
good.
great week ahead.
Thank you so much.
To the
Okay.
calendar. Okay.
Very
Thank
good.